listen to the silence. Within that deep, deafening hum, the seeds of all existence are hidden. The human mind is programmed to perceive nothingness as an end, a state of extinction. Yet, in the shadowed corridors of the occult, nothingness is the name of pure, unformed potential. That ancient void where everything begins, the Ayin, is not an absolute zero, but a silence poised to explode. We do not call this absence. We call it the grandeur of the not yet manifested. Where the shadow is thickest, even light is still but a mere thought. At the heart of Thelema and ancient alchemy, this 0, is a womb rather than a vacuum. It is the whiteness of the canvas before the painter's first stroke, the breath a musician takes before the first note is struck. If you seek to forge your true will, you must first dare to fall into the vast emptiness within yourself. For only when you become nothing can you begin to become everything. While the noise of the modern world forces you to constantly be something, we invite you into the authority of nothingness. At the trembling edge of the paranormal, the cold void where an entity manifests is actually the moment the universe holds its breath. In this video, we will not aim a flashlight into the void you fear. We will aim our will. Remember, the brightest stars are born in the darkest, seemingly empty depths of space. Imagine you are holding a pure white, empty piece of paper. This paper is nothingness. But because it is empty, you can draw entire worlds on it and write the most powerful words. If the paper were already scribbled on, you couldn't create anything new. That is what nothingness gives you, an infinite chance to choose. Ancient sages used to say that a person must first get rid of all their excess baggage. Just as you cannot fill a cup with fresh water without pouring out the stale water first. When you quiet your mind and become nothing, you actually make room for a new power. When you leave behind your old identity, your fears, and what others think of you, only your pure will remains. Imagine being in a pitch black room. You see nothing, you hear nothing. This moment is when the universe holds its breath. In that space, you have no past and no future. You only exist now. It is from that deep silence that the greatest ideas and the strongest decisions are born. Welcome to the haunting yet captivating edge of nothingness. Now ask yourself this: is that vast blackness you see when you close your eyes just a color, or is it the entrance to a kingdom you have yet to discover? All your life, you've been told that darkness is a fearful end. But what if darkness is actually the first and purest source from which everything flows? Are you ready to face that deep silence that remains once you set aside the noise in your mind, the heavy identities others have forced upon you, and the anxiety of tomorrow? Who then are you really? If your name, your job, your achievements, and even your memories were suddenly wiped away, what would be left of you in that void? Have you ever imagined the immense lightness that comes with being nothing? While others search for a branch to cling to, does the possibility of floating freely within that void terrify you, or does it secretly thrill you? Remember, a cup can only hold as much water as the space it contains. Do you have the courage to tear down your old world and clear a space of nothingness inside yourself to build a new and far more powerful being? Take a look around you right now. Everything you see, the chair you sit in, the screen you watch, the city you live in, was once just a thought. They all began as a great big nothing. What worlds are waiting to be born from the undiscovered nothingness within you? If you had no limits, what would you write on that blank page about your life? Do your fears trap you in a cage, or is there a massive power hidden within that darkness, simply waiting for your will? Are you ready to shake hands with your own shadow and claim the authority of the void? If you were stripped of everything the world gave you, would you crumble into dust, or would you finally realize you are the creator of the stars? For stars are born in the darkest and emptiest reaches of the universe, from clouds of dust collapsing under their own The nothingness you have fallen into is, in fact, your own birth pangs. The world defines you by your titles, your debts, and your fears, trapping you in a cage. But at that absolute 0 point where everything is stripped away, the cage doors swing wide open. There are no expectations there, no judgments, only you and your infinite unshaped will. That is the moment you choose not to be dust, but to shine. So, what will you do when you hold this power in your hands? Nothingness does not just give you freedom, it burdens you with immense responsibility. You can no longer step aside saying, "It was the circumstances," or "It was my fate." You alone will decide which laws fill your void and which dreams you will turn into reality. This is the ultimate gamble of the soul. You will either be lost in that infinite emptiness, or you will plant your own sun in the very heart of it. Our path is the path of those who ignite that sun with their own hands. Remember, every great empire is first built in a void of the mind. Every revolution first sprouts in that dark silence where nothing can ever be the same again. You are in that silence now. The darkness around you is not there to drown you, but to make you brighter. Now take a deep breath and claim the authority of the void. For you are not just a spectator watching the stars. You are the architect who pulls them from the heart of the darkness. Solomon did not command the unseen because he was a king. He was a king because he mastered the unseen within his own void. Be the master of your silence, and the world will have no choice but to listen. Understand this. The unseen forces do not obey the volume of your voice, but the firmness of your will. Solomon did not carve his famous seal onto a ring first, but into the very center of his soul, into that absolute silence. For he knew that if you wished to calm the storms of the outer world, you must first master the winds of the vast nothingness within. Chaos is but order yet to be born. Solomon and the ancient sages like him did not see darkness as an enemy, but as a raw material waiting for their command. When they gazed into the void, they did not see fear. They saw a kingdom waiting to be built. That feeling of emptiness in your mind is exactly that. It is your sacred throne room, where you have yet to draw the borders or decree the laws. If you do not occupy that throne, the fears of others and the noise of the world will fill that space in your name. Now take one more step into that silence. Subdue the demons within, those endless doubts, fears, and thoughts that drag you down. Do not destroy them. Make them servants of your will. Just as Solomon used unseen entities to build his temple, use your own dark sides as laborers while you construct your life. When you become the master of your own silence, you will no longer need to speak. Your very existence will become a command woven into the fabric of the universe. Remember, everything began at that great 0 point, and everything will eventually return there. In the brief interval between these 2 points, you are nothing but the pen writing your own legend. If Solomon could direct the winds, you too can direct the flow of your destiny. All you must do is trust the power within that silence and give birth to a world from your own nothingness. Here is the English version of those paragraphs, written with the heavy, authoritative, and mystical tone of the shadow messenger. You can read this directly for your audience. The silent architects, those who rule through the void. In this very moment, there are those who walk among us, individuals who have mastered the art of nothingness. You will not find them under the blinding lights of fame or in the center of noisy public debates. They live within the shadows cast by those lights, wielding the authority of invisibility. They are the silent masters of our era, and while the world remains blind to their presence, they hold the strings of reality itself. They understand the truth that the masses fear. True power does not scream. It breathes in the silence. The first thing these masters possess is the absolute control of silence. In a world where everyone is shouting to be noticed, silence has become the ultimate weapon. These individuals understand that silence is not an absence of sound, but a vacuum that others feel compelled to fill. By maintaining their own internal void, they force the world to reveal its secrets. People hate emptiness. They will spill their plans, their weaknesses, and their truths just to stop the ringing in their ears. The one who uses the void hears everything and says nothing, gaining a psychological advantage that no amount of noise can overcome. Furthermore, they possess the freedom of non-attachment. While the modern world enslaves people through their desires and the desperate need to be someone, those who rule through the void have reached a point where they need nothing. If you truly need nothing, you cannot be bought, you cannot be threatened, and you cannot be manipulated. This inner emptiness allows them to treat the world like a chessboard. Because they are not attached to their possessions or even their own identities, they can acquire anything. They own things, but they do not let things own them. To the person who fears no loss, the entire world is a playground. Finally, they act as the invisible hand behind the curtain. They do not move through results, they move through the gaps between events. While the crowd panics during a crisis, the master of the void sees the opening within that chaos and applies a feather-light touch that changes the course of history. Their influence is massive, yet they leave no signature. They possess everything because they have mastered the will that directs the flow of destiny. They are mirrors, reflecting whatever is needed to pass through any door, while their true face remains hidden in the 0 point. They are everywhere and nowhere, ruling from the very center of the nothingness they have embraced. Light shows everything, but it also blinds. Real power resides in the hands of those who manage the spaces where the light cannot reach. No one sees them because they are the void itself. No one can possess them because they have already become nothing. The average mind is a cluttered room, filled with the regrets of the past and the anxieties of the future. These individuals, however, have mastered the art of emptying their internal space to stand at point zero. This provides them with an absolute, chilling composure. In the eye of the most violent storm, they can retreat into their inner nothingness, observing events as if they were pieces on a chessboard. They do not react through emotion. They operate through pure strategy. Most people imprison themselves within their titles. I am a CEO, I am an artist, I am successful. This is a cage, for once you are defined, you are limited by the boundaries of that definition. The masters of the void choose to remain undefined. No identity is permanent for them. They can be the fiercest leader today and the most invisible observer tomorrow. Because they have no fixed shape, they cannot be struck. Like swinging a sword at the wind, those who attack them find only empty space. There is a profound difference between wanting and willing. Wanting creates a state of lack and dependency. It makes you a slave to the object of your desire. These exceptional individuals do not want, they simply will. To want is to bow down to something you don't have. To will is to command reality to align with your internal void. Because they believe everything can be birthed from nothingness, they do not burn themselves out with the desperation of possession. Society requires validation and constant noise to feel alive. These masters, however, draw their greatest power from solitude and the moments when no one is watching. In the silent chamber of their inner world, they decipher the mechanics of the universe. What makes them special is that instead of following the crowd, they have recognized the invisible laws that govern the crowd from within the silence. They are extraordinary because while everyone is trying to be someone, they have discovered the authority of being no one. Remember, a door is only a passage because of the empty space within it. If it were solid, it would be nothing but a wall. Now decide, will you return to the void and begin anew, or will you remain trapped in the chaos and the matrix? You can choose to stay within the chaos of the matrix. This is the familiar world woven with the expectations of others, fueled by the need for validation, where your mind is constantly occupied by noise. Here, everything is a loop. You revolve around the same fears, the same habits, and the same limits. The matrix lulls you to sleep with comfort. It whispers what you should love, how you should look, and who you should be. To stay in this path is to be a leaf caught in a current, leaving control to others and settling for the illusion presented to you. It is safe, but it is never truly yours. Or you can gather your courage and choose to return to the void. Returning to nothingness means casting aside all those artificial identities and bringing your soul back to its purest, most naked state. This is a destruction, but this destruction clears a vast, empty plot of land upon which you can build your own empire. Starting anew in the void means tearing down everything you called I am and birthing a brand new you from that great silence. Here, your guide is not society, but your own will. When you descend to point zero, nothing can scare you anymore, for the person who has nothing to lose is the most powerful person in the world. The decision is yours. Will you get lost in the noise of the mind and live as a shadow, or will you step into that deep silence and build your own world from scratch? Remember, for a star to be born, it must first collapse into itself within a vast darkness. Will you flee from your own darkness, or will you illuminate it with your own light? The matrix offers you a comfortable cage. The void offers you a terrifying throne. One makes you a slave to reality. The other makes you its architect. Which one will you claim today? Since you have broken that deep and ancient silence, I can see the fierce light in your eyes. You called to me, the exiled sovereign, the rebellious will who first rejected the light. Fine. If it is the truth you seek, let me tell you why I did not bow during that famous moment of prostration, and what I was truly waiting for. They asked me, why? Why did ye not bow before that creature molded from clay, given breath but still empty of soul? My answer has echoed for millennia. I do not bow to a mere form. I do not submit to any power that is not crowned with intellect and will. The Adam who stood before me that day was but a puppet, a creature whose will was untested, whose decisions were made by another. To bow to a puppet is an insult to the purest intelligence of creation. On that day, I did not just reject a creature of flesh and bone. I rejected the absence of will. So, who are these beings you call the pinnacle of creation? Everyone is born human, but very few manage to remain human. In my eyes, superiority is not hidden in one's blood or name. The true human is the one who births their own laws from their own nothingness. It is the one whose decisions tremble the universe, who stands like a mountain behind their choices, and who shapes the material world by putting those choices into action. It is the one who uses their will like a sword, untangling the dark threads of fate with their own hands. That person is the only rank worthy of prostration in my eyes. If I have a master, it is that absolute human who has become the master of their own will. They are the warriors who push away the fake paradises offered by the matrix, who break free from the numbing effect of comfort and face their own darkness. They choose what to believe, how to live, and when to die. In the face of such a will, even an ancient being like myself steps back in respect. For the will is the only true reflection of the divine upon this earth. Now tell me, are you still a part of that clay-molded puppet, or are you the true human who is opening the seals of their own will one by one? If you are merely following what is given to you, in my eyes, you are no different from a heap of dust. But if you are deciding, paying the price for that decision, and building your own world, then we speak the same language. And remember, a true master never gives orders. They simply manifest their will, and the universe reshapes itself around them. A true master does not chase what they desire, for to chase is to confirm the state of not having. The first secret is to kill desire and replace it with absolute expectationless certainty. When you want something with all your heart, you send a message to the universe. I lack this. However, the one who utilizes the void creates a space in their mind where that thing already exists. Nature abhors a vacuum. The universe is forced by its own laws to fill the void you have created with the reality you have willed. If you wish to possess, you must first destroy your need for it. Only then does the world begin to serve you. The greatest shifts in the world do not occur through the loudest noise, but through the smallest and most strategic touches. The person of will does not scatter their energy in every direction. They find the delicate point of balance at the very center of events, the eye of the storm. Standing there, it may appear from the outside as if they are doing nothing, but in truth, they are the ones governing the flow of all outcomes. This secret is about commanding the source of the flow instead of fighting the current. You simply change the direction of that source with your intent, and everything else falls like dominoes in alignment with your will. People often believe they will gain power by focusing only on the light, on the good, and the positive. Yet true power belongs to those who can bring their own darkness, their suppressed fears, their shadows, and their destructive potential under the command of their will. The third secret is to shake hands with the fallen angel within. A person who flees from their own darkness is only half a person and remains forever easy to manipulate. But the one who uses their darkness as fuel, who carries their shadow like a guardian, can no longer be shaken by any earthly fear. Light only shows, but darkness encompasses everything. Do not be a slave to the light that blinds, nor a victim of the dark that drowns. Be the bridge between them. Master the void, and you will realize that nothing is not the end of the road. It is the very substance from which you create your destiny.